right, everybody. How are we doing on this Wednesday? It was a little bit of a busy weather week so far. Luckily, we have a little bit of a break today, which is good news, but we are going to be seeing those rain chances kind of back on the rise as we take a look through the rest of the work week and the weekend. So kind of enjoy today while we have it. Only a couple of scattered showers, maybe a thunderstorm here and there, but overall, it's going to be a beautiful rest of your Wednesday. Thursday and Friday, though, then we're going to see a little bit of a pattern change. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But as we do start off this Wednesday cast of our Fox 35 Weather Plus, let's actually get right into a couple of things. First off, again, starting with the question of the day. We'll get that out of the way first. But definitely answer in. I am excited about this one because I would love to know. Of course, today is the first day of October. September wrapped up, so I guess you could say September ended. So if that gives you a little bit of a hint of what today's question of the day is, today's question of the day is... Yeah, so that is your question of the day today, is what is your favorite Green Day song? But if you don't have a favorite Green Day song, what is your favorite song in general? Write into the comments. We'd love to see them, and we'll show them a little bit later on in our show today. So definitely write that in. Kind of a little bit of a reference to when September ends. Wake me up when September ends. But if you don't like Green Day or aren't necessarily a fan or don't have a favorite song by them, let us know what your favorite song is. Personally, I'm looking for new music, so I would love to know. All right, so there's our question of the day today. So let's actually get into a little bit more of what we're going to continue to see through the rest of the work week. But something that I do want to share is how rough it was. So Honey, my dog, and I, we went to New Smyrna Beach yesterday, and we actually went to the time where it was high tide. So there we go. So here's a video from that. And as you can see right here, these waves were high. These waves were coming right up to the seawall. And there's like a couple of stairs that go down to the beach. If you've ever been to New Smyrna Beach, once the video pans over, you can kind of see it's only about like 5 or 6 steps. And the lifeguard stand, it was way off to the right-hand side. So it was crazy. I don't think I've seen waves that big for a system that wasn't directly over us. So this was interesting to see. And you can see those waves coming directly up to the seawall. And this is right in front of the Breakers Tiki Bar. So this was crazy. And as you can see right there, it was raining quite a bit too. But these waves were high. And listen, I'm a strong swimmer. I used to do competitive swim way back in the day during middle school, high school, Laurel era. And I would not be getting in the water in this instance. So this was high tide, and we're going to continue to kind of hold this rough surf for at least a couple of days. But until then, we're still going to be seeing some pretty rough conditions out there. So if you do have any photos from the past couple of days of Imelda kind of sweeping along the shoreline, definitely let us know. You can send that to our email, which is fox35stormteam@fox.com. Heads up though, if you do send us any photos, we will be answering back just for a little bit of consent form so we can use it on our social medias, on our webpage, on our newscast. So keep an eye on your email after you do send in a photo, and you will probably see a couple questions get responded just to make sure we have your full consent to use your photos. All right, so let's get to it. Biggest story again is Imelda. And Imelda is actually one of the reasons why we're still seeing those breezy conditions today. And unfortunately, we're going to be seeing some rain as we take a look at the day tomorrow. But here's the latest path. This is the 2 p.m. path of Imelda, holding Category 2 strength. So as of the 11 a.m. update, it got upgraded to a Category 2 hurricane. And just a couple days ago, so Friday, what was that? 5 days ago? This storm was making its way north into Bermuda and was going to be making a hard left turn into the Carolinas, and it went the complete opposite direction. Bermuda was in the clear 5 days ago, and now they are quite literally in the beeline path of this storm. Most likely going to be feeling the effects as early as tonight and through the day tomorrow as the storm kind of moves over the island. So something that we're going to really keep an eye on as we head through the next couple of days. We can see this storm quite literally passing over Bermuda, and then it's going to continue to make its way northward, tapping into some cooler ocean water, into an area of a little bit of higher wind shear, and kind of get sheared apart from there. We're seeing this with Umberto right now, and we'll pop up a thing from Umberto in a hot second. But overall, it is going to be pretty rough for Bermuda over the next 24 hours. So we'll continue to monitor that. But again, over the next couple of days, we're going to see Imelda make its way into the northern Atlantic and then slowly start to downgrade from there. But for now, Bermuda right now is under a hurricane warning, as we do keep an eye on that path of Imelda. Taking it a little bit more locally, we're going to be seeing a couple of scattered showers out there through the rest of the afternoon and evening. You can kind of see a few of those scattered showers lingering offshore, so a couple sea breeze storms popping up through the rest of the evening and into the overnight tonight. And as we do take a look on Daytona Beach now, Imelda is hundreds of miles off Florida shorelines, and you saw how rough my video was at New Smyrna Beach this time yesterday, and we're a little bit past high tide now, so the waves are slowly starting to retreat. We're probably about I'd say an hour past high tide, and you can just still see how not only rough the surfs are, but you can also just see how far these waves just come up. Usually we're seeing about this time pretty much cars lining the beach, but now not so much, which is kind of interesting. And still folks are getting in the water. Rip currents are extremely dangerous right now, and they're going to continue to stay dangerous through the next couple of days, which is why a high surf advisory is in effect until Sunday morning. So what we can expect for this is dangerous surf. Beach erosion is kind of what we saw just the past couple of days at New Smyrna. Those waves were coming right up to the shoreline and the beach wall, and also going to be seeing that most likely all along the Florida coastline. So we're going to be monitoring that for sure. Large breaking waves today between 5 and 8 feet, and then they're slowly going to start to digress as we head through the next couple of days. But still, with these waves between 5 and 8 feet, especially during high tide, it is going to be pretty, you're not going to see any beach. That's point blank right there. So for Port Canaveral, the times that you're going to need to watch is 3:42 p.m., which we're kind of coming up on right now. Low tide tonight, things are going to be pushing back out to sea. And then tomorrow, earlier on in the morning at about 4 a.m., is another time that you're going to need to watch, just for the possibility of those waves coming in and pretty much there being absolutely no beach through the next couple of days. So speaking of which, those wave heights, again, we saw in Daytona Beach, those waves are still high, and they're going to be between 6 and 9 feet through the rest of the day today. 5 and 8 feet on Thursday, and then kind of slowly digressing from there. Again, a high surf advisory in effect until early Sunday morning, 4 a.m. Sunday morning to be exact. And then that's when we can finally start to see the more natural waves coming in. Definitely a lot less detrimental, especially because those rip currents are finally going to be subsiding as we head through the next couple of days. So that's what we're looking for with especially the high surf advisory. It's still pretty gusty out there, point blank. Roughly about 20-mile-per-hour winds near Titusville, New Smyrna, Daytona Beach, and that's also kind of assisting in roughening up those waves. Here in Orlando, still on the breezy side. When I was driving to work today, yeah, it was definitely a windows down kind of day, but my hair was everywhere. We definitely needed to do a big hair fix once we got in today. But it is still going to be breezy through the rest of the day today. Slowly starting to see those winds subside ever so slightly through the day tomorrow, but we're going to see a little bit of a different pattern, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But a sneak peek here, we're going to see those rain chances really start to be on the ups through the next couple of days. We're going to kind of see that moisture from Imelda almost backtrack back across the peninsula, so winds coming in and that moisture coming in from east going to the west. So we're going to continue to see much more of that widespread rain as we take a look at the next couple of days. And I see Connor writing in, he's going to the Universal on the 7th and 8th. We'll possibly take a look at that in a few minutes. But for now, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes, and we'll talk a little bit more about the tropics. And if you are planning any beach trips anytime soon, how you can stay safe in the water. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. If you haven't answered the question of the day or written just a couple questions that you may have, maybe about your weekend plans that you may have coming into the future, definitely let us know. Write it in the comments. We would love to see them. But reminder, question of the day, and we'll take a look at your answers coming up after our next break. Today's the first day of October, so I guess you could say September ended, so it's time to wake up Green Day. Favorite song from Green Day, or if you do have a favorite song in general. Personally, I'm looking for some new music, so let us know in the comments. Okay, so kind of continuing our Tropics talk of what we've kind of have coming up the pipeline. Headed into October, things can get a little bit busy. Of course, this is when we saw Helene, Milton, and some of our stronger storms that impacted us here in Florida a little bit closer to home. So we're going to be watching October very carefully. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen this year. However, our focus shifts a little bit on where we're going to see activity in the tropics. So we're going to talk about that as well. So tropical weather outlook for the next couple of days. We're not expecting any new zones across the Atlantic. However, we're still tracking Imelda. And now we're tracking the remnants of Umberto. So Umberto, this was a Category 4 storm, Category 5 storm just a couple of days ago. And it totally got sheared apart by this cold front as it kind of traveled up this boundary. And we can see with Imelda, it's going to continue to ride this same boundary as well and kind of follow behind all of this moisture left behind Umberto. So why this is important is because this is what's going to be affecting our local forecast here at home. So we have some moisture that's going to be making its way back across the peninsula from Imelda. And that's what's going to raise our rain chances over the next couple of days. So especially for this weekend, if you do have any outdoor plans, I don't think it's going to be a total washout, but especially through the afternoons, evenings, and most likely through the late morning hours, we're going to be seeing rain at some point during the day. And it's pretty much going to be affecting pretty much everyone region-wide. You may see a scattered showers. Others may see a couple downpours over the next couple of days. So just a quick check-in on Imelda, 2 p.m. update, holding Category 2 status. It's going to be, unfortunately, making a beeline for Bermuda before it kind of sweeps up as it's following along this cold front and then seeing that Category 1 storm as we take a look at the next couple of days, slowly downgrading as it kind of taps into that cooler water in the northern Atlantic. So here is our Fox model. Again, you can kind of see what we're viewing, but one thing you will notice is all of that moisture, instead of seeing that sea breeze boundary that we normally see and seeing the sea breezes come together and really blossom those storms up through the afternoon, all of these storms are going to be coming in off the East Coast, moving across the peninsula, and then making their way off the West Coast. So heads up, areas across Flagler County coastlines, Villa Lucia County coastlines, Brevard County coastlines, you will probably be seeing a good amount of rain over the next couple of days, and we'll talk about that flooding threat in a few minutes. But pretty much through the rest of the overnight tonight, a couple of scattered storms here and there. Thursday, seeing a few more of those storms starting to pick up and continuing to see more of those showers making their way from the East Coast into the central part of the state as we head through Thursday, Friday, even into the weekend as well. So heads up if you do have any plans coming up this weekend. This is kind of an early look of the rain that's going to be expected basically along the coastline. So something that we're going to be focusing in on for sure. But here's what our season has been looking like so far, sticking with the tropics. We've had Andrea through Imelda, and something that's interesting to note is that we have hurricanes on the board. So Erin, Gabrielle, Umberto, Imelda, most of these storms have been major hurricanes. And if everyone remembers the outlooks that were presented back in April and through May and June, they were calling for 3 to 5 major hurricanes, and that it's including NOAA as well as Colorado State University. So it's going to be interesting on how the rest of the season pulls out, because usually we see that kind of slow increase in the intensity of storms. Last year was a little bit of a wild card, but usually we slowly start to see these storms amp up, and having 3 major storms and then a whole bunch of tropical storms, it's definitely interesting to see so far. So taking a look at the next couple of days, as we start to head into October, we have about 25% of tropical activity that happens in October itself. So we still have a good amount of the season to go. We have about 2 months left before we can kind of breathe that sigh of relief. but we still have a good amount to go. We're not done with hurricane season yet, so do not let your guard down. We've been lucky so far this season, but October is really when we do start to set our guard up, and here's the reason why. Taking a look, here's the tropical activity of what's expected, and this is data going back from 1944. This is where we normally see those named storms really start to develop, and you can see that the focus for the past couple months has been more across the central part of the Atlantic. Now we're starting to see that focus shift a little bit more to the Gulf as well as the Caribbean, up towards Bermuda. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye, especially on the Gulf, as we take a look at the next couple of weeks. And the National Hurricane Center takes a look at the next 7 days. We're going to be focusing in especially across areas across the Leeward Islands and the Gulf 2 weeks out. So this is October 8th through the 14th. And then we can also see the possibility of something brewing in the Gulf, taking a look at the end of October. So these are just outlooks. These are looking at the very long range models, but there's something that happens on a yearly basis that picks up, and this is called the Central American Gyre. And basically what this is a low pressure system that pulls in moisture from the Gulf, pulls in moisture from the Pacific, pulls in moisture from the Atlantic. So this is something that we're going to be focusing in on because this can easily cause spin-ups, and this is exactly what we saw with Helene and Milton this time last year. So definitely not letting our guard down for sure. We're going to take a quick break in a few minutes, but that is pretty much what we're looking at in the tropics for now. Here's kind of like a little bit of a timeline now that I see this graphic right here of what we've been seeing so far. And granted, Umberto just finished, Imelda is still in progress, so kind of take this with a grain of salt right now. But Andrea, Barry, Chantal, we had a really big break between Chantal and Dexter, as well as Dexter and Aaron. And with Fernand and Gabrielle, there was also a significant break. But normally, once we head into October, we normally see things become pretty rapid fire and one storm after another. But it's a little bit interesting. Imelda's the only thing on the board, and there's not really anything that's sparking interest at the moment, knock on wood. But we're going to keep focusing in, especially on the next couple of weeks, because again, we're going to see that Central American gyre really start to spin up, and that's what could create a couple of those storms that we could be seeing homegrown here in the Gulf. So definitely something to keep an eye on as we head into the back half of the season. All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break. Get your comments and questions in. We'll take a look at those coming up in a little bit, and we'll also talk about a little bit of beach safety coming up in just a few minutes. Stick with us. Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right, circling back to the beaches. Imelda is long gone, but we are still going to be seeing these rip currents and these dangerous surfing conditions through the next couple of days, which is why there's a high surf advisory in effect for Flagler, Volusia, Brevard County coastline. So if you haven't been to the beach, it is ridiculously dangerous out there. There is pretty much no coastline during high tide, and something that I really want to stress is beach safety, and lifeguards are really going to be on their A game through the next couple of days, because especially how sneaky rip currents can be here in Florida, they can sweep you out very quickly, which is very unfortunate, especially if you don't know how to spot them either. But there are a couple of things that you can use at the beach in order to kind of use your best judgment in order to figure out if these waters are a little bit too dangerous for you, and kind of using your judgment of how well you swim, if you know how to surf, using, again, your best judgment in order to figure out if it's okay for you to go in the water. So a little bit of a lesson, and you'll actually learn a little bit of a fun fact about me coming up. But something that I did want to share with you is a little bit about beach safety. You probably have seen the flags along the beach, you probably near lifeguard towers, near lifeguard chairs. Knowing what those mean in order to keep you safe while you're having a great time at the beach is super important. And here's an explainer of the different types of flags that you can see here in Florida, because there's a lot of them. Easy way to remember. So just sit back, relax, and take a look at how you can see and what the different beach flags mean here across Florida.
Whenever you head to one of Central Florida's many beaches, you'll most likely see some of these flags all along the shoreline, and these are vital in keeping you safe, as well as making sure you're having the best time at the beach. And you can take it from me. Back in my day, I was a lifeguard at a waterfront, and we use these same flags in order to keep our guests safe. So let's actually go through the meaning of these flags and what you should know about each one so you can make the most out of your beach day. Let's start off with, if it's safe to swim, you'll most likely see a green flag or this red and yellow flag. This means that these areas are safe to swim, and if you see the red and yellow, that means there are lifeguards present. So it is very safe to swim, and you do have just an extra set of eyes watching you as you're hitting the waves. If you do see a yellow flag, it does mean there's a medium hazard out there, whether that's a rip current or those waves are just a little bit strong. That's when you would see that yellow flag flying, especially along the lifeguard stands. But when those conditions get a little bit too dangerous, you will definitely see those red flags soaring out there. Red flag, just a singular red flag, means that there is no swimming and then there's a high hazard in the water, most likely due to those rip currents or very, very dangerous surf. Also with that, if you see a double red flag, that means there is no swimming allowed in the water at that time. Then there's a couple of other ones that are definitely there to keep you safe. If you do ever see a purple flag, there's usually dangerous marine life, such as jellyfish or stingrays, that could injure you. So you definitely don't want to be in the water with that, as well as it allows you to show where that swimming is available. So if you do ever see a checkered flag, that just means that this is a surfing area and no swimming is allowed. Usually when we start to see the tropic season come in, and if we do see a tropical system either impact Florida or get close to Florida, that really roughens the waves, whether it's rip currents or just the waves in general. So if you do see a red flag with a black box on it, that does mean a tropical storm conditions are expected, and those winds are going to be extremely gusty as well as very dangerous surf. If you see a double red flag with those black boxes, it means that hurricane conditions are expected with winds greater than 74 miles per hour. Make sure you take a look at the flags the next time you go to the beach so you can make the most out of your beach day. We'll send it back to you.
All right, so yeah, a little explainer there, and yeah, true story. I was a lifeguard for more years than I would like to admit, taking a look basically through high school and most of college. So yeah, here are your comments. You can kind of see them on the board. Question of the day was, what is your favorite song? Or if you do have a favorite Green Day song, because of when September ends, we're now at the start of October. A little bit of fun right there. But also taking a look at actually a couple of viewer questions as well. On our Facebook page, we can see it right there. Connor Oat is writing in saying that he's going to be heading to Universal coming up probably next weekend. So what are going to be those days? What are they going to be looking like? like. So fingers crossed, Connor, we're going to be seeing those rain chances let up a little bit. Probably won't be as rainy, but taking a look at the month of October, some forecasts are expecting that it is going to be a little bit more on the wetter side. So usually for us here in Florida, seeing a couple of afternoon storms is something pretty common here. So I would definitely pack a rain jacket, or if you know the park pretty well, you kind of know the stores that you can dip in and out of, so you can make the most of your time. A couple of other questions that I can see. Noah Bergeron is also writing in. I asked what your favorite Green Day song was, and he's writing in Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And I do have to agree with that one. Jesus of Suburbia is also one of my favorite ones, but honestly, I don't think he can top American Idiot overall. So back to our couple of viewer questions that we can see. Dylan on Facebook is bringing up an amazing point. Even though these surf conditions are extremely rough, it makes for amazing fishing, and fish from other places that we never see sometimes come here. Something that, of course, we definitely need to take into consideration for sure is some of the invasive species, but overall, it does make for some pretty entertaining fishing scenarios if you are into that. Seeing a couple of other comments on our Facebook page. Dylan also writing in saying October 8th is your birthday. 34, happy birthday, and Halloween Horror Nights may be there. That's very exciting. I went to Halloween Horror Nights for my first time earlier on this year. So very cool, and happy early birthday. All right, so to give you a little bit of an impact of what we're going to be seeing for the next couple of days, let's actually pop up your 7-day forecast. So for, again, the next couple of days, it is going to be on the rainy side. So today, it was a beautiful day today. We're going to continue to see some more of that sunshine, but you will also notice those storms are going to be amping up. So take a look at your 7-day forecast is what we have right. There we go. So we're going to continue to monitor that through the rest of the work week, seeing kind of that unstable pattern here in Florida of just seeing that moisture and tropical moisture sweeping back over the peninsula, even though we dodged a bullet for sure with the Melda. And we're going to be continuing to see that moisture from the Melda kind of work its way backwards as it kind of makes its way along a boundary. So we're going to continue to monitor that, and that's what's going to possibly lead to some higher rain chances from Daytona basically down to our Brevard County coastline. So pretty high rain chances through the weekend, slowly starting to see those rain chances taper off by the time we hit next week. So thanks again, folks, for watching on this Wednesday. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the work week, and tune in tomorrow, same time, same place, for more Fox 35 Weather Plus. We'll talk your questions and talk about your local forecast coming up every day. Have a good one.